See, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about it, but on most of the other, Arrowverse shows, on Arrow and certainly on Supergirl, there's tons of gay characters, and everybody's just like, it's great. There's no issue. Like if someone's in an interrelational gay relationship, no one's ever going to comment on it. Like, which is I think nice in some ways.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's probably also nice to have a show where you do actually deal with that. What would that be like?
Yeah, the Flash is sort of going through that right now, where like the Flash, very controversial casting when the show started, that Iris, his love interest,
blows
was black.
Blows my mind. That I occasionally Tumblr, and I tumbled an article. It was from the Washington Post. The great. God, I'm not going to remember his name. That's too bad. But really great writer, has a column for the Washington Post where he writes about comic book stuff, which is maybe the greatest job in the world.
Oh,
right? I tweeted at him, I was like, you have the greatest job in the world. But he wrote that he interviewed the actress who plays Iris.
Candace Patton.
And basically it was like, and the headline was, now there's a whole generation of kids, they see Iris West Allen as black.
Yeah.
And that's important. And I tumbled it, and it got like, 200, hearts or whatever the hell they are. And it was interesting. I was like, okay, clearly this is a thing that they've tapped into. And I never thought about it because that doesn't bother me, but I guess it did bother a lot of people.
Like that decision sort of like, people might think it's sort of without consequence, but it's been hugely consequential. She gets hate mail basically constantly. She'll sometimes throw it on her Instagram, like just on her Instagram story, just like, and here's like the hate mail I received today. Like people have like petitioned for her character to be killed. She gets threats. The character who in a later season was brought in to play her brother quit the show because of racial harassment.
That's why he quit?
That's why he quit, yeah.
I mean, what was he supposed to be? The family's black.
The family's black.
Is he supposed to be adopted? Is Wally supposed to be adopted now? I mean, come on.
Oh, my God.
I mean, first of all, Joe, I mean,
Jesse Martin.
Thank you, Jesse Martin. I mean, I know him from when I saw him in Rent on Broadway a million years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's so talented. But what a great actor. I mean, what a great choice to bring to that role.
The couple of those sort of like father-son scenes, which so powerful
good.
Between a black father and a white son.
Oh, yeah.
And like you tear up. Like
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I got major daddy issues, and that stuff gets me hard.
Oof,
that stuff gets me very, very hard.
Yeah.
No. I know exactly what you mean. But yeah, I mean, it's what it should have been. Should they have cast the guy, and he's fine as as Barry's father, but I mean, should they have cast that guy as Joe West, and then whatever. I can't remember the guy who originally played Flash. Like, should they have cast just to cast a white guy? I mean, come on, you cast somebody great.
Absolutely, and you have this beautiful, beautiful family, and there's kids now growing up who that's not a completely foreign idea to.
My kids know Green Lantern as
John Stewart.
John Stewart. They know John Stewart, Green Lantern. Like, they didn't understand who the hell this Hal Jordan guy is, and why is it some dorky white guy? It should be John Stewart, that awesome Marine that's super cool, because John Stewart is such a great character.
Yeah,
really, really cool character, and it was such an interesting, smart choice for them to put him in on the Justice League show, and it really changes the dynamic of the team.
Absolutely.
Plus, Phil LaMarr has like an all-time great voice. The fact there's an episode of Static where he shows up, so he's playing both, and just thinking like that's the same guy. Like, how is that the same guy doing Static's voice and also doing Green Lantern's voice? Like, how did that happen?
How many like childhood entertainment memories are owed to Phil LaMarr?
Oh,
like,
so many.
Samurai Jack, Static,
so many.
Oh my God!
I met him once, and I was just gushing. I was at a Comic-Con, and I was, and I told my kids watch Futurama. He's like, "How old are they?" He was not he wasn't like angry, but he didn't think my children should be watching Futurama. he said, "I don't know about that. That's not such a great idea."
I tried to get to his talk at Comic-Con, and like when I got there, the guy was like, "Dude, this like sold out the moment we opened the doors."
Right.
Yeah.
This was one of those things. He was doing a thing with Greg Pak, who wrote Planet Hulk, which is also a great comic.
Oh, okay.
And it was this weird like animation comic hybrid thing, and nobody was there. So there, there's like 10 people in the room. So I got to just walk up and be like, "Hey, Phil, how you doing?" And we just chatted for a little bit. It was really. I mean, that's why Comic-Con can be fun. I mean, I think it's harder now because it's now so crowded.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, Philomar, I like Philomar. I have I to this day, I couldn't tell you what it was they were doing. It was some sort of creative idea that Greg Pak had. And, it might have been good, but it clearly didn't take off. Oh, but the nice thing is there was no one there, so I got to meet Philomar, and that was fun for me.
Wow. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, right? Because he's awesome. But no, the fact that my kids, and it's not like, oh, now the world is a better place, but I kind of feel like, it's a little better. At least you don't look at superheroes and think they have to be white.
Yeah. It's better, and it's just sort of. I think the two shows, Black Lightning and The Flash, sort of take two different approaches to that conversation. Where Black Lightning is, we're going to have this conversation because it is a huge part of being black or any minority in America, and The Flash, I think up until this season, has gone with the view of we're not going to talk about it. This is just it. Deal with it.
Are they talking about it this season?
They are talking. So just last episode, race was mentioned for the first time on the show.
Oh, wait, don't tell me. I don't think I've seen it.
I
think I'm behind. But that would be interesting because you're totally right. You were opening my eyes a bit because I never really thought of. I thought about it in terms. There was a funny line when Supergirl was on CBS, and Flash showed up. Uh-huh. There was a great line. Cat Grant says, "You look like the non-threatening, racially diverse cast of a CW show." Which was just a great line. It was hilarious, and it was James Olsen, Cara Danvers, and Barry Allen, and maybe there was somebody else of another ethnicity, and it was just like it was just great. It was such a great dig. It was so that's sort of it's like everything is very nice. Everybody is very nice.
Yep,
everything works out. There's no problem if no one ever. In reality, Iris is getting death threats. On the show, it's just not. It's a non-issue, which is great. But what do you think of that? I mean, which would you rather see, or do you think there's a place for both?
It's interesting. Because I live tweet, I get people who are very strongly opinionated one way or another responding to me. I can see. Well, for people who can't see me, I'm brown. I can see the merit in choosing not to have that dialogue, especially when you have such a controversial casting that you're just like, we're not gonna address it. To some degree, it could be viewed as feeding the trolls, where we're just gonna be like, this is who they are, deal with it. I mean, race is part of like my everyday life. I'm not gonna forget if we don't talk about it for an hour. And TV is escapism to some degree. Yeah.
I'm not going to forget if we don't talk about it for an hour. I like that. But you want to talk about, Blanco over here that, maybe I need to be reminded. Maybe it's not such a bad thing. I mean, to have a little bit of that in my, wonderful, perfect CW universe.
Yeah. And to just, even seeing a interracial couple on TV, like that's not something you see frequently, even in the, we're sort of getting to a better era, but it used to be like, even on shows with a diverse cast, you'd have like what I like to call color matching, where like if there's a character who's like single, they're going to introduce a love interest who's going to also be his ethnicity, almost guaranteed. And so, growing up, like when I dated a white girl, like I remember, looks, I remember like, being weird. I remember from both of all different races, just sort of being like getting, a few comments, and it just, for some degree, was the first time people had seen that. And like now on TV, you're seeing like this couple that's interracial, and it's not like a huge deal. And I can see the merit in that. I can see the merit in just being like, this is it, and we're not going to talk it to death. But I can also really appreciate a show like Black Lightning that gets into it sort of hardcore, that plays to the really gritty realities of being a minority in America. Some very specific and very very deep issues regarding the black community in America and how they're treated by America as a whole. And I think that also gives a certain point of access in that, this feeling of being seen in TV universe that's often very, the bad guys are, big villains with superpowers, kind of acts like the world is good aside from that. And then you have this other point of entry, which is like the world is inherently flawed. And there's also bad guys with superpowers.
Right, exactly. That's really interesting. Now, I'm just curious. Have you ever read the Crisis comic?
I have not, actually. I've read I think the only time I've really seen the Flash in comics has been like interactions with the Justice League, which I think are fun because he gets like sort of especially snarky in the presence of all the other heroes.
Sure.
And so, especially with Batman, like he's kind of trolling him all the time.
Yes, no, that's true. Does seeing that make you want to read the comic that it's based on?
Well, I heard Crisis when it happened was like earth shattering in the comics.
Oh yeah.
And I mean Barry Allen, hopefully this isn't a spoiler. Barry Allen was gone.
Yeah, no, like, and they kept him gone.
Yeah,
they really did, which was impressive because that's not usually the case.
Yeah.
Usually they're dead just then they get better.
It's like 5 issues to reincarnation.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like Crisis was like people remember like that, like people who've been reading